It's been too long since we talked Missouri fly fishing. We're bringing back an old guest who's an expert at both of those things, Missouri and fly fishing here in the state. He's big into smallmouth bass, which we appreciate as well. I'm excited to see what he's been doing this summer as he travels around the country. I'm Brandon Butler.
I'm Nathan Shags McLeod. Jeff, introduce yourself, buddy.
Oh, I'm Jeff Trigg.
And welcome to the Driftwood Outdoors podcast. Now, I want to get you guys' opinion because on previous podcasts, we've talked about the proposed price adjustments for hunting permits from resident and non-resident hunters, but our good friend and former podcast guest, Blake Wilson of Castaway Charters out of Lily's Landing on Lake Taneycomo down in Branson, called me because we were so focused on the hunting, I didn't even look at the fishing. And according to the new proposal, the non-resident trout stamp is going from $0, apparently you didn't need one before, to proposed $40. Now, as you can imagine, that's quite the jump, and it has a lot of guides concerned on Taneycomo, especially with all the vacationers and out-of-staters that come into Branson, and they may only want to jump on the water for 4 hours one time. And if you got a couple of people, that $40 adds up real quick. So I was just kind of curious on your guys' opinion on this, because the actual non-resident daily fishing doesn't increase at all. It stays at $9, and the annual fishing only goes up $3.50. But that trout stamp, non-resident trout stamp, really jumped up from nothing to 40.
Well, is that, I haven't read all of it. Is that even if you're not keeping trout, did they change that? Because it used to be, if you weren't keeping them, you didn't need it.
As far as I know, the way I read the regulations, even if you're not keeping them, if you're trout fishing, you need to have that trout tag.
So that's changed then.
That was my understanding.
Okay.
But I mean, as you can imagine, it has a bunch of those guides down there pretty concerned about families coming in from Oklahoma or Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And if they only want to fish for 4 hours or just do one day, including the guiding fee and the tip, then you add $40 and all that, it can get pretty expensive pretty fast. So you being a guide, I know you focus more on smallmouth, but what do you think about it?
I think it's tough if it's going to be, if you're specifically just only trout fishing and not, like I said, the way I had understood it prior, if, you didn't need it if you weren't keeping fish. And if you're keeping fish, I don't have a problem with the $40, but to charge somebody $40 just to target that's tough. That's tough. I mean, that took, we all know guide fees are, you're going to pay anywhere between probably $400 to $650 nowadays. So if you're, two guys, that's $80 more that you're adding onto it. So that's gonna be tough if that's the way it sits.
Well, and even my home state of Oregon, you could usually get they would do daily, 3-day, 7-day, and you could buy the more expensive one that included all the salmonoids, for salmon, steelhead, trout. And I'm just kind of surprised that we don't have that option in this state of a daily or a 3-day that covers everything. So you don't have.
Are you sure we don't?
I'm looking at the proposal right now, and I don't see anything like that whatsoever.
Because I thought we had a 1-day license that included the trout stamp.
No.
Because if we don't, we should. Like a 20-day, 1-day deal, you can catch trout, whatever.
No, that's what I agree with you on that. But to what I see and what I know, and again, I am a resident in Missouri and a lifetime hunting and fishing permit holder, so I'm lucky enough that I don't really have to worry too much about these new regulations because I'm grandfathered in. But if that was a thing, I think Blake would have brought that up when he called me to talk to me about it, because he kind of called concerned, and he was like, you got more pull than I do. Can you make some phone calls? I was like, I don't know if I got that much pull, buddy. Yeah. But it is open to public opinion to the end of the month. So you still have a week to let your voice be heard. And I'll put that link up in the show notes as well. And that's what I sent him. I sent him the link too. I was like, here's where you go. And I saw Phil Lilly posting a lot of stuff in a lot of the forums down there as well, just talking about how they're a little concerned that this could hurt the small businesses on Lake Taneycomo.
Yeah, I can see.
So is the only option to buy an annual?
When it comes to the trout stamp, yes, your option is you have to pay the $40.
Yeah. See, if it was up to me, I would keep it. If you're going to keep fish, you pay the $40. If you're going to do catch and release, don't worry about it. But because that's a big expense for somebody just coming over for the day, or for 2 days with a family. That's rough.
Yeah, there should definitely be a lesser priced for a shorter amount of time option.
Well, yeah, especially if some of these families aren't going to come back in. I mean, I don't mind it being $40 for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in Arkansas or Illinois and you like to stop by, I see a lot of out-of-state plates on the river we no longer speak of. And if you're going to be going down there regularly throughout a year, then yeah, pay the $40. But I'm with you guys. If it's just a 1 day, one time, because some of them, a lot of their trips down there are only for 4 hours. They're like half days. Right. And to spend $40 for whatever the limit is, 6 little stalker trout, I don't know if that's worth $40, honestly.
Man, I have mixed emotions about our current state of the river we no longer speak of. I think maybe we should start speaking of it again, but in the honest lane of how much it sucks now. Like, I was down there last weekend, and I mean, going into Tanvat was like going into a concert. You had to wait in line as people went in, people were coming out. There was nowhere left to park. For one, that didn't used to be a tent canopy, lawn chairs in the river, major hangout. It's become that.
Yeah.
But it's also a huge mix of anglers in there too, all day long. Now, this was a Saturday in July, as busy as it gets. We pulled out and went to the Little Piney. Decided not to fish there either because it was also super crowded. But I couldn't believe the traffic on the road there running from Montauk to Tanvat. Like it has changed dramatically in the 10 years that we've been seriously spending time down there.
Yeah, it's getting more and more popular, and I mean, you can blame the COVID for that too. Like, we've all talked about how we want more people outside, and who would have thought all it took was the government telling you to stay inside, and then everybody rushed to go out. But I mean, the secret's out. It's a great place to hang out, and this summer has been, people-wise, one of the busiest I've seen in a very long time. Like, if you want to fish it and be left alone, you got to be up there before daylight, like it's dark, headlamps on, putting your gear on, and then you're coming out when everyone else is showing up, like at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
I'm sure you guys are familiar. There's a low water crossing that I used to like to go down and fish my way, walk up and fish my way back down, and used to hardly ever see anybody there. And last time I was there, maybe late in the winter, there was 4 vehicles there, and it was like December, which would never happen.
I'll remind people though, man, it's not the frying pan.
No.
You've been out there and seen what that's like. And so it's much more crowded now than it has been in the past, but it's still, if you put a little effort in, you can still get away from people.
Yeah.
And we've been asking for improvements in the area. Yeah. So hopefully all these people coming in is some kind of an economic influx. And, it does take people loving a resource to get it protected the way it needs to be protected. So hopefully that's the upside.
Yeah, I guided Saturday with Mike Cruz, and I told him the only way I'd do it, I was like, the guys need to step in my boat at 6 a.m. and we are stepping out of the boat at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. That's the way to avoid the crowds. And I mean, if we're talking about the current as well, like, we went from that historic flood last fall that blew out nearly 1 million trout into the park and into that upper Current River stream. And man, Thanksgiving to opening day of March, fishing was stupid. Like there was just so many fish. It was every single cast. I was really excited about this summer, thinking, all right, well, all these little rainbows are just going to be getting fed on by these big browns, and there's going to be some big fish this summer to be caught. And it's been rough out there fishing. Like fishing has been dead. And I was like, I just don't know what has happened, if it's the overpressure or what, but I'm not a fish biologist, but I'm kind of shocked by it.
You've also had, floods basically every week until the week before 4th of July. I mean, every river in the area was flooded basically every weekend. So fish never kind of get, like my smallmouth stuff. I mean, obviously I haven't, being we were talking earlier about my neck surgery, I was out, until May. So I didn't get any pre-spawn action in, but it didn't really matter because it was flooded, so.
No, I mean, that's a good point, because down there, it has been one of the rainiest years too. Like it's just been blown out every other weekend for sure.
Well, we don't get, we don't get those good all day rains anymore. It doesn't seem like. It's just like, oh, here's 4 inches in 2 hours, but which does nothing. It just runs off and muddies everything up. It doesn't charge the springs. It doesn't do anything good. So,
what you guys need to do is dig like a 3-acre lake in your backyard and focus on fishing that. I've got my lake dialed in, man. Like the only people that get to fish it are the people I say they can fish it, and
it's got some good fishing. It's definitely got some good fishing in it.
It's some good fishing, man. Like it's cool. Like I appreciate that the neighbor boys love it. Their dad is who built it. And they've since moved into it. They built a new house across the street and moved in, and they just got back from Minnesota. They fished Red Lake and Vermilion, and this isn't a regular thing for their dad and mom to do. This was what the boys wanted to do, so they ran them up to Minnesota and hired a guide for one day on Vermilion, one day on Red Lake, learned some things, caught a bunch of smallmouth. But I packed up trays for them kids and sent them with trays of tackle for the North Country, and now like I step out of my house and they're out floating around on my barge like constantly, because I mean I flat out in front of their parents just gave them permission, like you don't need to ask, just walk across here and fish whenever you want, and they're just in awe of the barge. They got the fish finder going on it and the foot control trolling motor, and I'm guessing, I don't know exactly their ages, but I'm guessing like 13 and 9 or a big 12 and 9. So they're just right in that
sweet spot,
living to fish sweet spot. And it makes me real happy that I've got a place like that kids can enjoy.
Has one of them caught the 10-pounder yet?
Nobody had, only Lauren with nobody to see. So Jeff, we skipped the whole growing bass process and we visited other private ponds with permission and removed some fish. And so I have planted 105 largemouth in there, all of them over a pound, 75% of them over 2 pounds. The largest one was 7.1, and it went in last September. Lived in there pretty much by itself with a 6.3 and a couple more 5s and one more 6. And they had a year of forage that had built up, bluegills, yellow perch, which we got yellow perch over 10 inches now too. So yeah, these bass have been gorging themselves, and Lauren swears that she had the big one to the boat dock and it got off. It's double digits.
Nice.
So, yeah, man, that's where I'm focusing. Farm pond fishing in my backyard.
Nothing wrong with that. You need to put a couple big grass carp in there and let them get giant and chase them around.
Everybody that I know that puts them in there regrets it once they've done their job. It's like hard. They go all the way with removing the grass, and I'm trying to establish some grasses. My neighbor, I'm lucky to have this guy as a neighbor. Like, he knows all the things I don't know about farming and soil, and he clued me into an off-market solution for scum, and it's basically an asparagus herbicide. I don't know exactly what it is or what it does, but it has no effect on the fish. And we put it in, you have to spray it, like mix it up to powder and then spray it on that scum. I did it once this spring and it stayed clean and has seemed to have no effect on the fish.
Nice.
The third eye I'm growing in the back of my head, no problems there, but from the chemicals that are now in the lake. But
Yeah, don't ask to see the tumors.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you had the surgery. How many trips have you got to do this year?
Not a lot. Like I said, I was just released. I had surgery March, I don't know what it was, March 15th or 13th. I think I was released the 15th of May. So I couldn't do anything, couldn't row. They wouldn't let me pick up over 10 pounds. So I couldn't row or do anything. And then really from then on, it was kind of blown out. So it's just been a handful. And I ran up a few times, cleared some trees out. And then 2 days later, dumps 3-4 inches again. And so it's been a little rough. And now it's so miserable out there, nobody wants to go for a full day right now, and which is fine by me. Like, I leave for Montana Monday, so I'll be out there for a week, and then so yeah, I'm looking for late August, September time to really kind of start hitting it.
Well, let me ask about
So
that.
now-
Hold on, Brandon. Let me ask about that surgery really fast, because
Mhm.
that disc stuff is scary. I've had friends and family that did not recover very well from it, and a lot of it has to do with the doctor, because in one case, my poor aunt, the doctor was inept and just to say, just messed her up real bad. She's still struggling now, and it's been years after the surgery. How are you doing?
No, I'm doing really well, actually. It was kind of a weird deal. Um, I didn't have an accident. I didn't have an injury. It was started about mid-December. I was on the road. I was doing a show in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and woke up that morning in the hotel and felt like I just had a crick in my neck. Like you just slept funny, and I kind of ignored it, and it lasted a few days, didn't go away, and I still had a buck tag left, so I was hunting when I got back home, and I was sitting in the saddle one day, and I was looking real hard to the left, and when I did, I felt the kind of numbness shoot down my arm, and I was like, well, "That's weird." Just okay. Note to self: don't look hard left. So I kind of ignored it, like we all do, and I just thought I was getting these knots kind of in my neck, and I thought it was from that sleeping funny, and then I shot a buck, drug it out of the woods, and then it was Martin Luther King weekend. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and so yeah, I think I started with a round of steroids. After that, they said the only option really was injections or this disc replacement. And I went to the head of neurology at Med Center there in Columbia, actually. Yeah, so they replaced the disc at C5 between C5 and C6. It's a titanium articulating disc. I went home the same day. I had surgery at noon, and I was home by 9 o'clock that night. I was driving I think my surgery was on a Thursday. I was driving on Sunday. I just
Wow.
drove to the grocery store. No collar, no nothing. I never took a pain med. Tylenol was all I took. And really, after the really worst part was sleeping, because I'm a side sleeper and I couldn't do that. So I had to sleep on the couch, kind of propped up. But yeah, really, I still have a little tingling in my thumb, a little numbness, kind of pins and needle in my thumb periodically. But they told me that may take up to a year to come back. And honestly, if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. I'm still, the scary part was I shot a buck on, it would have been, like a week before season was up. It was like January 7th. And I had not pulled my bow back since the neck thing. And I went to draw it back. I've got 6 or 7 3D targets out back. And I like, man, I haven't shot a bow since I've got released, and I couldn't budge it. I couldn't draw it back 2 inches. And all the grief that I've given buddies that hunt with crossbows, and I'm like, I can't go that route. So I have been lifting weights every day like 5-6 days a week and working out every day since like the first week of May because I refused to shoot a crossbow so I haven't tested the bow yet since then, but I'm hoping I get it. Just being, I guess, the nerve damage of being atrophied, not using it, I lost it. So, and it's
Oh,
not like
that's
I pulled
funny.
back 80 pounds. I think my bow's 68 pounds right now. So
Was it ruptured? Did you have the ruptured disc, or was it just bulging?
it was just, yeah, it was all blown out and had bone spurs in there, and yeah. So yeah, the
Yeah, because
crazy thing is they go in right there in the front.
wow. Because
So
in high school, I had a bulging disc in my lower back, and no one believed me I was hurt until one day I was walking up the stairs at school and I lost all feeling in my right leg. Like it just
yeah,
went like it wasn't even there anymore, and I collapsed. And then we went to just my primary care, and he had a little tool with some spikes on it and was touching my toes, and I only had feeling in like two of my toes. So then
yeah.
he's like, "All right, we need to send you up to the big city and get an MRI." And I got lucky because it was just bulging. And I like
Mm-hmm.
the analogy that the guy gave me. He was like, imagine like a tube of toothpaste. If you just squeeze a little bit of that toothpaste out and leave it alone, it'll suck back in. But if you hit it really hard and it splatters all over the mirror, it's not going back in the tube. Right
Yeah,
now, your toothpaste is just bulging out. So I was like bedridden for like 6 weeks to let that
to let it
disc
heal. Yeah.
go just suck back in. So
Yeah, they
that's,
didn't
I
really
know.
give me that option. They were like, no, that the one thing he wouldn't do, he said, I won't do a fusion. He said you're too young, and I didn't want a fusion anyway, But he said he wouldn't do that, and I was a perfect candidate for the disc replacement. So yeah, so far so good. I didn't lose any mobility at all, and like I said, I wouldn't recommend it for fun, but as far as surgeries, the recovery wasn't too bad. I mean, I flew to Idaho 2 weeks after surgery.
Wow.
So
Well, I was rooting for you because I know we talked before your surgery,
yeah,
just talking about poor Chuck down in Branson too, Chuck
yeah,
Breeze
that
with
was
Anglers
tough.
Outfitters and his failing health. And I got off the phone with you, and I even said like, "Ugh, I wish you the best." I did a quick prayer for you because I know how bad those surgeries can go sometimes. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it paid off.
Well, I will tell everybody too that I made the mistake of Googling and looking at online. Worst thing. I mean, it had I was scared to death. I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. And I go up there and they're like, all right, it's outpatient. You'll be home the same day. Probably won't even need pain meds. And I'm like, that's not what the internet said.
And
I'll get a
there's truth to
cervical
that.
collar for 6 months or something.
Well, on a better note, man, you said you're going out to
Yep.
Montana. Now you've got some new stuff going on at
Yep.
work. You're kind of showing it off there with that first light hat.
Oh,
Tell everybody what you're up to these
yeah.
days.
So we kept, before I was, and I'm still working with Three Creeks Outdoor Group. Darren and I are still working together. Um, but we had Farbank, so Sage, Reddington, Rio, and some other on basically all on fly fishing side. Last year was, just to be honest, was a horrible year business wise. You know, through COVID, everything was great. Everybody was rocking and rolling. We knew it couldn't continue. But when it slowed down, like pump the brakes super hard. And so financially, things got tough. We covered 8 states, and kind of this better than anybody. Relationships are in this industry, the outdoor industry, are huge. It's kind of who you know. And I was kind of looking around. We are trying to figure out what to do, and this opportunity came up for MeatEater, and so we kind of split Three Creeks into a fishing division and a hunting division, and I'm heading up the hunting division. So I'm repping now MeatEater, First Light, FHF gear. We'll add on Dave Smith decoys and Phelps game calls as they build up wholesale inventory. And then I have Turtle Box and Grapplers, a couple other ones. But so yeah, big changes. Kind of jump from the fishing side to the hunting side. You know, First Light's never been available at retail. This is our first kind of step into the wholesale world. They did do an exclusive kind of test of waters with Shields for a couple years before they did this. So yeah, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants right now, but flying out to Montana just on Monday, and we have a sales meeting next week. We'll do a couple days at the theater there, Rialto Theater, downtown Bozeman, and then over at MeatEater HQ the third day. So yeah, it'll be fun. It's been fun. I knew, being a hunter, I knew there was a lot more hunters than fly fishermen, but some of the first orders I got, it's like, oh yeah, hunters they like to spend money.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun. I think it's fun being kind of at the ground level, at the very beginning, and kind of watching them build this wholesale market. And as far as
So a lot of people probably are hearing this and they're thinking, well, MeatEater, I mean, Steve Rinella, that's a podcast, it's a
Yep.
TV show, it was on Netflix. Like, what's he talking about? Like repping all these products.
Yeah,
like,
so
can you talk about that
yeah.
business side of the MeatEater?
Yeah, so on the MeatEater side, we've got your logo, where your hats, your t-shirts, your hoodies, the MeatEater collab stuff. We've got dry rubs, new dry rubs coming out, and spices. We actually have some consumables coming that I won't let the cat out of the bag yet, but yeah, we have some consumables coming down the pipe for MeatEater. Then of course, First Light is all your camo. Now First Lights, we have 5 patterns plus solids. So you got 2 waterfowl patterns, a whitetail pattern, kind of a general camo, and then a big game out west. And then the FHF gears, your fish hunt fight, your bino harness, your fob bino harness, and rangefinder harness, and all our pouches. And then Dave Smith decoys, obviously, and decoys, and then Phelps game calls. So those all are kind of under the MeatEater banner nowadays.
Yeah, so a few years ago, a large investment firm came in and bought MeatEater.
Mm-hmm.
So Rinella still owns a portion of it, but for the most part, it's owned by this investment group. I think it's genius, though, the way this thing's unfolded. They took an audience and started selling to it. It's almost reverse of a normal business model.
Mm-hmm.
Where you get a product and then you build an audience around the product. They came in and saw, like, there's already this huge audience. How do we market directly to them? Let's buy this brand, then start buying up these small companies around this brand and use our already established marketing platforms to communicate to this very loyal tribe, if you will.
Yeah, if you look at the breakdown of like viewership for the podcast, for the TV show, and then you break it down by age and income, it's one of the most impressive breakdowns I've seen of a consumer audience. And I can tell you as a rep, like, we call it bagging and dragging. If you see behind me, you got a clothes rack of some First Light there, but that's 4 or 5 garment bags, that you're hauling in and out of your truck, hauling in to show, do a line showing. And the thing that's crazy about First Light, everybody kind of already knows about it. So some of my first orders, I never had to bag and drag and show them anything. I just sent them the dealer applications, send them the catalog or the order writer and go, here you go. Here's a suggested order, make whatever changes. So it's been really fun as a rep because guys haven't had a chance to get their hands on it other than, like I said, it was only direct to consumer. So it's been fun. I'm finally now starting to have to kind of take it around and show some people. But yeah, the first, 6 dealers I opened, I never even showed them anything, didn't have to. They knew the brand, they know, Rinella behind it. And, there's probably not an outdoor brand right now that has the marketing push behind it that MeatEater and First Light does, between the podcast.
There's nothing close.
Yeah. It's,
you've got the other conglomerates like American Outdoor Brands, whatever Vista broke into these days.
Yeah, GSM.
And who are they using?
Yeah.
They're still paying money to the pig man to go around and, be a moron on TV. And like the industry should be examining this model and trying to replicate it. The in-house branding, the in-house control of the entire process, from communication to the sales.
I can tell you,
it's impressive what they've done.
If you've ever been, if you're ever in Haley, Idaho, the First Lite has a company store in Haley, and then you've got the MeatEater store in Bozeman. But I know I had worked on, before I flew out to Idaho, worked on a list of samples that I wanted to, have to show. And as soon as I walked in the store, I took my list and just threw it away and went, geez, there's so much here. I have no idea. Like,
They're gonna tell you what to take. Yeah,
it's super impressive. It's a cool store, but it's just, the amount of product they have and just the hype around it is so fun to be involved with. I'm really looking forward to this sales meeting, which typically I don't look forward to sales meetings, but the whole crew is going to be there. Steve, Giannis, Clay, everybody that's on the podcast or involved or on the show, all going to be there. So it's going to be, I think, a pretty fun time. So. First sales meeting I really look forward to, that's for sure.
Hopefully you get to do some fishing as well.
Not probably a lot, unfortunately, because I have to get back. I have to take the red eye Thursday night because we're kind of have a coming out party a little bit. Rogers Sporting Goods up in Kansas City, or Liberty, came on really big with First Lite, and they have their Waterfowl Days event starting Friday. So yep. I'm like flying the red eye back Thursday night, and we'll be over at Rogers Friday morning setting up the First Lite booth. So.
I'm heading to the Delta Waterfowl Convention in Oklahoma City tomorrow.
Yeah.
So by the time this airs, it'll be over.
Yeah.
But First Lite was there last year. I hung out with Callahan. So
I'm not sure.
I don't know if they'll be there this year.
I don't know. They may all be prepping for the meeting. I don't. But I know we got Sports Inc. coming up in second week of August in Kansas City. At Buying Group's big show. So yeah, you're starting to see them. I know they were at the pheasant deal up in Kansas City that was earlier this year. I know Clay spoke at that, and they had a booth there. So yeah, it's different, but it's just been a ton of fun just to be involved with something that's got all this hype and energy behind it, and just such a cool brand to work with.
We get a lot of questions from folks all the time about working in the outdoor industry, the different avenues into the outdoor industry. I don't think we've ever had anybody explain what it's like to be an independent sales rep. I mean, like you said, there's tough years, there's good years. You have a lot of freedom. You control your own schedule. Tell people what it's like.
There's two different routes you can take as far as a sales rep. So you can be an independent like I am, or you can be a company rep. A company rep is hired by that company. They're going to pay your expenses. They're going to pay your benefits. You're going to get a salary plus, some commission, or salary plus a bonus, which is great. But then in that instance, all your eggs are in one basket. As an independent, we can have as many brands as we think we can handle, as long as they're non-competing. I couldn't have, Sims and,
Patagonia.
Whatever, So now as an independent, all the expenses are on you. So I have to pay my own, luckily my wife has a really good job that has benefits, so I can jump on her insurance. But everything's on me, but I can rep multiple brands. And normally what you do is you'll sign a contract with a brand for a specific number of states. Kind of in the outdoor industry, we're doing this a little bit different, but typically you have what's called, everybody nicknames TALO, which is Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. That's kind of a pretty standard territory. And then the other states are kind of broke up very similar. But yeah, you get a percentage of sales, and normally you'll have a cadence of it's spring to fall, fall to spring. So if you're selling, like this meeting here is we're going to see what's coming out spring 26. And when we get back, we're going to be selling in spring 26 to the dealers. So that's kind of the cadence that you run on the apparel side, and kind of the hard goods side too, is a spring to fall, fall to spring. And so, yeah, I'm covering, like for First Lite MeatEater, I have Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma. So once I get back, I'll be hitting the road, going to see dealers in all those states and showing them the new product and, pre-booking. And then when you're done with that, you have some downtime, and the fun thing with being in this world is you kind of meet some cool people that you might get some opportunities to hunt and fish some spots. You probably, I've got a dealer that has a shop that his family owns. I think it's like 17,000 acres, 2 hours north of Bozeman. And he's like, yeah, anytime you want to come out and fish, you know. And I'm like, I do keep a drift boat out there. Be careful what you offer, because I will be there. So, you know, yeah, it's cool. You know, it's fun. You just have to be careful not to make, you know, your hobby, your job, that, you know, make it, you hate it. So, which happens.
From Missouri and Arkansas, have you come out with the shag special yet at First Light? You need to pitch this. You need a collared shirt with no sleeves. So
I need some
I think it would
pocket.
sell,
I need
man.
some front pockets for when I'm fishing, so I can put stuff.
Hey, you
when
know,
you pitch it to Steve, make sure Clay's there, because Clay will back this.
yeah.
up.
You know who I did just see have one of those was Poncho, the shirt brand Poncho. They just did
Really? Dude, we're missing our sponsorship opportunity there.
Yeah, they
that's
just
the shag
came out with
special.
a denim, sleeveless denim shirt, button up with collar and everything.
The funny thing is, I was actually going to wear one, but I didn't know you transitioned to the hunting side, so I dropped my Flies and Guides fly shop on the White River shirt to rep them, because I wonder if that's one of the people that you were working with too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and I jumped on here thinking, all right, I need some Rio fly line, and maybe I'll talk to him about getting an Orvis rod.
Well, if you look, I mean, there's still a bunch of fly rods over there. Like, a couple coolers. But yeah, there's also MeatEater trivia game, I think, and a couple of First Light hats over there. And then obviously behind me is all First Light. So yeah, it's changed a little bit. But
what fishing brands you guys still carrying at Three Creeks?
Sage, Reddington, Rio, and Tibor. And then Darren's still doing Grundon's apparel, the fishing apparel. So yeah, still the same. We just kind of, like I said, split things up, really to keep both of us going and keep things going well. As you said, there's, you know, in this business, it's ups and downs, and it's, you know, you got to learn how to budget, because, you know, there's always some lean months during the year, but, you know, it happens to all of us when you first get in it. You get that first big commission check like in May or June, and you're like, oh my God, you know, I just got a check for $14,000, you know, and then you go out and you blow it, and then a couple months later your commission check is $1,200, and you're like, oh damn, I'm gonna have to go get a second gig at Target. So,
now, you said you leave a drift boat out in Montana?
Yeah, I do. It's the funniest. A friend of ours made fun of us, our investment. So there's 6 of us. So what happened is, every 2 years I was taking my drift boat out to Clackcraft in Idaho Falls and swapping boats. And, you know, we were always going out west for 2-3 weeks a year. And man, the older you get, that 22-hour drive just sucks. It's awful, you know. And if you suck it up and go straight through, you feel like crap for 2 days. And if you break it up into 2 days, 4 days of your fishing trip is driving. So one of my buddies, one day I was going to haul my boats out to swap them, and he said, I'll tell you what, he goes, why don't we get a couple guys to go in on it, and we find a storage unit and we leave it out there, and then all we got to do is fly into Bozeman, grab a truck, and go. So yeah, we keep a boat out of Gallatin Gateway, right outside by the Bozeman Airport, and you know, we got a guy we can rent a vehicle from. Just, you know, Enterprise does not like you towing stuff with their rental trucks, by the way. So we've got a guy that lends us a vehicle. But yeah, we can fly into Bozeman, grab an Uber, go to the storage unit, grab the boat, and take off. So it makes life a little easier to go out there and fish.
It's a hell of a plan, man. I got a drift boat, Shags.
Yeah.
You want to go in on a drift boat? Where can we leave it?
I'm not familiar with out west, the Montana area and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of spots to fly in other than really Bozeman or Helena, maybe, you know, but
Missoula,
the Deschutes, you could fly into Bend in Oregon. I'm pretty sure they got a small little airport there. Yeah,
and it's, you know, now, like, if you watch it, I mean, we've got flights to Bozeman, you know, for like $150 round trip out of Kansas City, you know, so. Wow. You know, if you can go out there and fish for 2-3 days and come back home, or go out there for a couple of weeks, or it just makes it a lot easier. You don't have that drive, you know.
No doubt.
And we never.
Well, hey, speaking of boats, while we got you on here, you know, we've talked about it kind of a little bit, but not much. You know, we've had these Flycraft rafts.
Smith fly,
yeah.
I mean, we've had these Smith fly rafts, and it's like they just disappeared off the face of the earth. What's going on there?
Man, I wish I could tell you. I have not talked to Ethan. I know he moved. He moved everything out to Colorado. Was going to do all the rubber manufacturing, everything in Colorado, which I thought was a great idea. And yeah, he moved everything. Well, originally it was just the raft part he was doing in Colorado. He was still doing the frame in Ohio, and that was, I think he got behind, like, getting the equipment up and going and getting people trained. He got behind, I know. And then, man, I honestly, I haven't talked to him for quite a while. I reached out to him because I had a dealer call me looking for, I think he was looking for, I think it was something on his frame or something. Or no, he was looking for a new floor. And I called Ethan, and he was actually working at a ski resort it was over the winter. So I don't really know. Like he told me he was going to try to get things going again, after the season. But I have been incommunicado with him, and like we repped him. I mean, we sold some boats for him, but
Right.
Yeah,
I was wondering if there was something more formal, like where that relationship ended.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, we don't exist anymore." Or
no, if you go to their website, smithfly.com, it just says, "Sorry, the store is currently unavailable."
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I talked to him back. It would have been like February, maybe January or February, and because like I said, the guy asked me he was looking for a replacement floor. He punctured his floor, and yeah, he was working at a ski resort, so I'm not really sure what. I don't know. I mean, I hope the best for him.
Doesn't look good for business.
I can assure you that there's a lot of people online very upset because I'm part of the Facebook group Smithfly Owners, and there are a lot of people on there that apparently paid some money and haven't got any of the product.
I kind of caught wind of that. Like I don't mess around on Facebook much, but yeah, I did catch some wind of that. I was like, oof. And he didn't mention it. I didn't bring it up when we talked. So I mean, I hope the best for him. It's sad to see it go away because you guys know it's a great little raft. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Like getting any kind of replacement parts. I mean, we're just
I think
SOL on that. Right?
Well, that's what that Facebook page has turned into. Is now everyone's like, hey, if you need a floor replacement, these guys will do it. Or if you need a new tube or a new rack or whatever you're looking for, that's one of the perks of being a part of that page now. You can find replacement through other companies.
Yeah, I think like anything with the frame, if fabricator can, anybody can weld, or some kind of a fabricator can fix it. It would be the rubber, the tube, the tubes or the flooring or something. But I think, I'm sure that I know those, all came from overseas. So I'm sure you can find it. I'm sure somebody could tell you, which I could probably find out pretty quick where they did come from. And they probably,
I saw something in, I can't remember exactly where I saw it, some kind of Facebook forum, I believe. But Paddle Don has had a good idea for a lot of years on his small water adventures, where he wants to just focus on little rivers, small lakes, and stuff like that. And I've always liked that idea, and I always thought somebody should organize a sales approach to different small water boats. At Retrieving Freedom, I was able to get us an amazing donated Pontini mini pontoon boat. I love it. Like I had a client on it yesterday, but nobody had organized that before. And I saw Tim Romano, who's really a visionary in the fly fishing world, has started exactly that. He's selling a lot of different small boats, rafts, paddle boards, kayaks, things like that. So good for him.
Yeah, he's got a website. I think I saw.
Yeah, good for him. It's like Small Craft Adventures or something like that. So it was a good idea. Yeah. Somebody needed to do it. That's the funny thing about people like Tim and doers. He's just going to do one more thing. And
well, that's what it takes.
I hope it's successful.
I mean,
we'll figure out the name and promote it a little bit better. Morlock fished with that dude a lot and just had many good things to say about him.
Yeah, there's always been that micro skiffs, that you could go, it's basically a forum on there where they sell, small skiffs, saltwater skiffs, And but there was never really anything freshwater side, you know. So I'm sure.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a raft or any of those small water boats, now you got a place to do it.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you rowing nowadays? You still in the old Smith Fly, or you got something else? I know you do both, right? Jet boats and
Yeah,
raft
well,
trips.
yeah. I've got Smith Fly. I still have my Smith Fly raft. I have my Clackacraft LP. And then I have my Toei jet boat. So yeah, I still have three modes. I'd like a fourth, but my wife thinks that's a bad idea. So
Well, what
I've
would be the
got
fourth
the
mode?
Smith Fly.
I
Yeah.
I really want a like a 2065 center console with like a 110 jet. So uh, you know, for a little bit bigger water, like Osage, stuff like that when they're running water, or even take down Louisiana, and then I have to figure out how to way to pull the skiff and the bigger boat. But there are times where you want a bigger boat if you want to run out to the chandeliers or whatever that I'm not doing in a skiff. So yeah, but I don't know where I'd park it. All my garages are full, and you know, my wife would.
I got 40 acres, man. You leave the keys, you can park it here.
Yeah. So, well, Darren, my business partner, he just bought a Maverick. He's picking it up in Fort Myers next week. So,
Wow. Good money in repping, boys and girls.
yeah,
So
it's not a new Maverick.
Not that good of money.
we joked about it, is that you know, in the skiff world, it's, you know, Hell's Bay and Chittum are your two like Cadillacs, you know, but they're also for a, you know, a 17-foot skiff, they're also, you know, $70,000 and up. But you know, the Maverick is the Toyota, you know, so you can get it for about, it's not new, I can't remember what year it is, but you know, you can get them for about 30, you know, that are, you know, 10 years old or whatever. So it's still a lot of money for a boat that is, you know, a 60, 70 horse, you know, outboard with, that can haul two people, you know.
I'd like to get a center console too, man. 2065 would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to start running the Missouri River.
Yeah.
I don't need a jet. I just take a 150 4-stroke.
I used to not like center console till I fished out of one. And, you know, I just thought, oh man, that, you know, but then, you know, when you have a side console, that side of the boat's pretty much out. You can't fish over there. Center console, you can fish all the way around. And when you're, you know, when you're running it, you sit up and you can kind of get, especially with a jet, you can see where you're going. You know, you don't have to, you know, you're just sitting up so much higher.
I like the Bimini top,
Yeah.
the whole look.
Yep. It's a little more comfortable, a little more versatile. That's for sure. Like I went out on my buddy who has a Sea Arc with a 250 horse inboard jet, and like the deck on the front and rear deck, you could literally have a dance on the. I mean, it's huge. It's amazing to fish off of. So it's a 2065, but it's a cool boat. I just like to have a center console.
So I do have a question for you. Being a former fly fishing rep, why
Yeah.
are we losing all our local fly shops, do you think? Because there's no lack of fly fishermen. I mean, we just talked about how busy the rivers are. So there's people still enjoying it. Is it just the online? You can just get everything shipped right to you, or what do you
That's
think?
part of it. Yeah, that's part of it. I think, you know, and that's another reason why I kind of bounced over to the hunting side a little bit, was the geography I covered, which was Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, half Oklahoma, half Arkansas. Well, I lost 4 shops last year, you know, and, you know, you can't take fly rods to, you know, wherever to try to sell them. It's got to be a fly shop. So I think there's several reasons. I think, you know, like K&K in Kansas City, for example, they closed last year. That was, you know, Kevin had owned it for 40 years, was ready to retire, and there was nobody to, you know, kind of take up the mantle and go with it and buy it and move on. And so, and it's just financially super tough. You know, if you go buy a building, by the time you know, you pay the note on the building, and then you know what, you can't open a fly shop with $15,000 inventory. It's gonna cost you, you know, probably minimally at 60,000 up to, depending on how big a space you have, to $100,000 in inventory. And then
How does that work? If as a rep selling to those new stores,
yeah.
like if me and Shags wanted to open a store,
Mm-hmm.
Do we got to lay out the money to buy everything up front, or we get 90-day terms? Like, what's a typical startup
Yeah, so
of a business like this
every
look
every
like?
company will have a different like new dealer program typically. Uh, Probably most of them are going to be net 60 to net 90. So you have 60 to 90 days to pay for it. If you catch it right, sometimes they'll do special programs, give you 120 days, but typically it's going to be 60 to 90. The other thing too is prior to renting a space or buying a space, you need to check with the reps to find out, because we're going to protect territories. So, St. Louis is an oddball that you have Hargroves and Feathercraft on the same road, quarter mile apart. That typically would not happen. I'm not gonna, if I have a really good dealer in, like K&K in Kansas City, I'm gonna give him some space. I'm not gonna put somebody right in his backyard. So yeah, you need to start that route. But yeah, it's typically 60 to 90 days, and you're gonna bring that in. So whatever the cost of your building, that payment, plus you're going to have payment you know, on that coming up in 60, 90 days, whether you've sold it or not, you still owe that money. So yeah, it's tough, and then pretty much every company sells direct to consumer. There's very few that don't. And, and let's face it, like, the economy hasn't been the greatest and here lately. So, $1,000 fly rod, probably not on your priority list if you're struggling to pay daycare, a grocery bill, or mortgage payment or whatever that may be. Yeah, it's tough. You have to be pretty smart if you're not in a destination area. You have to build a community around that shop. Diamond State's new down on the White River, and they've done a great job of kind of getting the community involved. And there's a new shop just opened in Tulsa, Green Country Outfitters. They're doing a great job. They've only been open a couple months now, but they've already had some smallmouth classes and tying classes, and that's the things you have to be willing to do. And you can't.
What about successful businesses that are not in destination
Mhm.
areas, but cater to taking people to
Yeah,
destinations? So, for example, if a store like this opened up in
yeah,
Colombia, where we need one
yeah,
desperately, someplace that would sell First
yeah,
Light. Right now you got Bass Pro. Um, we've got an archery shop that doesn't sell anything for
yeah.
clothes, or so you don't have a lot of
No.
options. You've got a Tombstone's a really good
Hmm.
bass and panfish,
Yeah.
catfish store, but for fly fishing and stuff, it's desolate. Like, have you seen success in those kind of markets, larger markets, where you can get people down to the Current, the
Yeah,
Niangua,
what you kind of got to do
places
is
like that?
is there are some you can be successful at it. You just have to be willing to work at it, and you have to, like I said, you build that community. So you start, with the tying classes. You start with, you know, you may not have a trout fishery right out your back door, but you might have a bunch of carp. You're doing the carp tournaments, and or maybe you got white bass runs in the spring and fall, or look at some of the things you have local that are easy to do, then fun to do, and then you can start hosting travel. I know, like with Farbank, they also own, they own Sage Reddington Rio and Flywater Travel, and if you're a dealer, if you're an authorized dealer, you can set people up through Flywater Travel, and they go, I can't even remember how many different countries they have trips set up and everything. So you can host trips or just send people on trips. And yeah, I mean, travel's a big part of, and that's one thing that hasn't slowed down a lot. People are still traveling to fish. They're not buying new gear. They're using gear they have currently, but they're still traveling to fish. I was trying to get into one of the lodges in Belize that I really like, and it only holds 12 people. So, and I was just, guys with Flywater Travel just said, hey, it's going to be tough this year. It's pretty book solid. So that's part of the business is still rocking and rolling pretty good. But yeah, it's just tough. And I see, like, on the horizon, I look at, some of these shops, and, the owners are, late 60s, 70s years old. I don't know what the retirement plan is, or the succession plan, if there is one. So you might see, unfortunately, some of those may close, in 5, 10 years too. I don't, hopefully not, but I don't know the succession plans there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sad day when there aren't any fly shops around anymore.
Yeah, I used to say like, man, nobody's gonna buy $1,000 fly rod online. They're gonna want to pick it up but man, people do. As scary as that is, people do. I thought it would only be the people that didn't have a fly shop close, but they're not huge numbers, but it's still way more than I thought it would be. Now that could have something to do with the customer service at that local fly shop as well. That's another big problem too. Is if you want to make a go of it, man, your customer service has to be on par. One of a consultant we had at a sales meeting one time, who's kind of the outdoor guru, retail consultant. He said, in this day and age, if somebody drives to your shop to buy something, they've already pretty much got it in their head they're ready to buy. They've got in their car, they've, made the commitment to drive to see you. If you don't treat them right when they're in your store, they're probably ordering that product and you're sitting in your parking lot in their car. And it was pretty eye opening, to see, and go, yeah, that's definitely possible. And I'm sure it happens,
Well, I believe that's the origin story of the steelhead apparel out of Oregon.
Yeah.
Is that they went into a fly shop originally to get some stuff and were treated like outcasts, and they didn't like the way they were treated. So then they started selling flies, like little fly packs, and then that turned into apparel. And now it's pretty popular. I rock a lot of the steelhead stuff.
I've seen you wear it. Grundens did a couple of collabs with them too.
Yep, that's 100% true. But I mean, that's part of the reason too of like anytime I'm in Branson, I always, and I still will, as long as Lynn still got the shop open, they're angler outfitters, and I drop a couple $100 once or twice a year, and those would be all the flies, like everything I needed for the year would be bought at their store, just because I enjoyed their company and everything so much. And Chuck certainly missed.
That's a fun.
So I went down and stayed at the Polish embassy for a night. Shags was gracious to give me the green light, and I had to go into your bedroom to turn on the air conditioner. And your bedroom now looks like a 12-year-old dumped their toy box out on the floor. These questions about starting a fly shop, we already have enough inventory if you're willing to part with what's on your floor, because it looks like Shags went down to his like little toy room and just scattered 24 fly boxes and things are just everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, this is life with no kids.
Yeah.
This is what it looks
Oh
like.
yeah, don't even look under the bed, because then there's bins of stuff underneath the bed as well.
Yeah. This guy has taken his like recent his recent transition to full-blown fly to a almost scary level.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny now because I took Brian Ware out because he came down and fixed the leaky faucet in the bathroom a couple of weekends ago, and I was just trying to look for like crankbaits and stuff because he doesn't fly fish, and he lost a couple, which is fine, but it got me thinking. I was like, I don't buy hard baits anymore, and you start losing those, and then suddenly I'm looking through all my like hard bait boxes going, man, these lures kind of suck. I don't know what's going to work out here or not. But
hey, speaking of Brian Ware, I was thinking about it just the other day. We're closing in on about a year out from our trip to Argentina for the old Golden Dorado.
Yeah,
we should start like a text chain or something with the four of us, start figuring out what day we want to book and communicate that and get it on the books.
Yeah, because they've been calling me, and I've been like, I'm getting married this year. I'm trying to plan all this. Like I don't have it in me to plan yet. And they were like, all right, well, I think we still have a year and a half or something to plan it out.
Well, I thought we were going to go next October, so we just need to pick a week and tell them what week and commit to it. So planning, if we do that now, we don't have to do anything else until after your wedding and stuff. But if the four of us can pick a week, we'll have that locked in. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to extend my trip. I want to spend 2 weeks down there and have Lauren fly down, and then I want to go to Patagonia. If I'm going to be that close, I want to get down there and see it. So 2 weeks in Argentina.
That'd be fun.
That would be a good time.
Gold
I can't
Dorado.
do
I
it.
haven't done. That's on my bucket list. That's one I definitely want to do. I mean,
Yeah,
Shags and I picked up a trip at a Retrieving Freedom auction, and
yeah.
invited Toot Flanner and Brian Ware to go with us, and can't wait for that
Yeah,
trip.
that's one that like those things are just so aggressive. Like, and then like if you've seen some of the stuff like in Bolivia and like the up like small creeks that these giant Dorado are coming out. Like, I'm like, dude, that would be so awesome. But that Bolivia trip is so stinking expensive. It's like
the helicopter flight in
$20,000.
there, because
Yeah,
originally that's how, because I see those and I grew up fishing those small streams for like native cutthroat trout back home in Oregon, and to think you could catch a 15-pound golden Dorado in there on a fly, like jumping from rapid to rapid and chasing it. And I started looking into it, and I was like, oh my God, just the helicopter ride from base camp up to one of those things is like $12,000. And that's just the helicopter ride to get to the stream. Like,
yeah, it's like I said, I think it's about like 25 grand up just for the week. Like, it's super expensive.
That's what I was looking at. About $25,000 to $40,000, depending on where you wanted to go and how long you were going to be there.
Yeah, it's right up there with the Seychelles price wise. It's really similar. So, yeah, I that's definitely one I'd like to. I don't know if I'll do Bolivia, but I'll get to some of it somewhere, like maybe Argentina or somewhere else. But yeah, or Chile. But yeah, not. I don't think it's gonna be the Bolivia one.
Yeah, Argentina's much more affordable.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You don't need a helicopter.
Yeah, I don't know if you could cram me into I'm already afraid of heights, and those little like MASH looking helicopters with just the dome windows in them and me hanging out. Like, I don't know if I could do that even to go chase a golden Dorado.
They got Kobe in one.
Too soon, dude. Too soon.
Is it? It's been like 5 years.
You're a legend, man. All right, before we get you out of here, you're familiar. Mystery Bait Bucket. Still got the same one from when you're on here previously, 200 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Oh, we almost had them on exactly 100 episodes apart. Because when were you? Let me search that really. Because I know it was it 102? It was 103. And I think this will be 304. So we're close. We're close.
Yeah, now you're
200
video. Like, y'all have come, getting fancy.
All right. This one comes from David Rice. What was the first movie you remember seeing in the theater?
Oh. I think it was
Rocky IV.
I know what mine was. You say Rocky IV?
Rocky IV, I think.
That's a good one. Mine was Star Wars Return of the Jedi. I remember the Ewoks.
Mine was the first Star Wars, I believe.
I remember having my 8-year-old birthday at the drive-in theater, and we saw Batteries Not Included.
Filmed in Astoria, actually. Astoria, Oregon.
Yeah.
My first
But I early ones that I can remember, Jaws 3. I know Rocky 4. Rocky 4 was early that I can remember. Yeah. Early Indiana Jones.
My first was at the drive-in theater too, and it was like the Deep maybe or something. I don't remember. I was like in second grade or something. It was across the river from Jeff City in Cedar City. There used to be a drive-through theater there when I was really little. But yeah, the first one in the theater I think was the first Star Wars.
And dude, I was thinking of Short Circuit. Batteries Not Included was actually in New York. My
Rocky IV released on Rocky IV was a Thanksgiving release, November 27th, 1985. So I would have been 6. So yeah, maybe that is the first one I remember.
Yeah, because I looked at I believe Return of the Jedi was 1983. So depending on when it came out, I've been like 5.5, and who knows? It may just be me putting it in there, but for some reason I remember like just thinking little Ewok characters were so cool, and then Jabba the Hutt, and that because I had that little monster that Luke fought in Jabba's lair when they dropped him down in there. I can't remember what that monster was called, but I remember that was a favorite toy to bring in the bathtub with me.
Well, I think I might have just uncovered some childhood trauma. So this whole shark thing that I've got going on, I remember going and seeing Jaws 3 in the theater because it was 3D.
Yeah,
and
Jaws 3D.
I remember what theater it was in. It was in the Century Mall. That released on July 22nd, 1983. I was 4. I was 4 when my grandma took me to see Jaws 3 in 3D. I'm pretty sure we just uncovered my shark phobia reasoning. So damn, grandma, come on.
Oh, that's too
And
funny.
grandma was hitting grandma was hitting diamond gems for margaritas on the way in and out of the mall too. I remember having to sit there while grandma drank margaritas and took me to see Jaws 3 in 3D at 4 years
Now
old.
you know.
Ugh,
Now you know.
Damn.
that was a
So Jaws 3 definitely before Rocky
That was
Hey,
a
4.
Shags, before I
different
forget,
time.
I gotta hit you. I gotta ask you this because you mentioned Bend, Oregon. I was in Bend last year.
Yeah.
For a sales meeting. There was we had I can't remember the name of the resort, but it was a really nice resort just outside of Bend. Had a bunch of golf courses and right under, ski. You could ski right out of there. Obviously, we're there in the summer, but we fished the Deschutes, and you could only fish one side and not out of a boat.
What?
Yeah, it was. I guess the one side is an Indian reservation, so you couldn't fish
Hmm.
that part of it, and you couldn't fish out of the boat. You could use a boat to get to spots, but you had to get out. You couldn't fish out of the boat. You had to wade.
Wow.
That's
I was
wild.
like, what a pain in the ass this.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, like that's where we'd always go in the summer. That was like our summer vacation trip,
Yeah.
coming from Plaskenai across the mountains, and we'd stay at Sun River. And
I think that
back,
was it. That's the resort. I
is that
believe.
it? Yeah,
Yeah.
bunch of beautiful houses. That it was kind of the Airbnb before Airbnbs, where you would rent
Yeah.
people's houses and stay there. And I remember there was a cool arcade and ice cream shop. I mean, it was heaven for being like 10, 12, 13 years old and loved to fish.
Yeah.
But I mean, we used to put in our like rafts, and I don't remember the exact float we would do, but there's always a fun story of us in a rubber raft trout fishing, just dragging wedding rings with a worm behind us, trolling it. And some guy on the bank was like, "You guys doing any good?" And my mom grabbed the stringer wrong, and she's like, "Yeah, we're doing great," and pulled it up, and you saw all our trout go like right off the stringer back into the water. So we ended up our fishing trip because we're going to eat them because my grandpa really liked trout, and we went back with 0 fish, even though we had our limits. So even to this day, mom listens to this podcast, and she knows I love telling that story of like, "How are you guys doing?" "Oh, we're doing great." Well, we were doing great. Now we got none.
Yeah, it was weird fishing, and then I ended up getting COVID and having to stay in the hotel room for 3 days. So, yeah, and then I became a super spreader because I wouldn't stay any longer. I'm like, I'm getting on the flight and getting home. See you later. So,
well, with that, do we got any final thoughts? The final cast of the pod.
Have a good time out in Montana, dude.
Yeah.
Tell the MeatEater guys we said hello, and yeah, just have a great time. Hope your neck feels good through the whole trip and you heal up.
No, we're good to go.
We need to get on the water.
Still,
never.
It looks like we should have, barring anything too crazy, like some decent water late August, early September. It's prime time to run up.
Let's do it.
So,
you got a website, or where can people book trips from you?
Yeah, like I'm right now. I'm actually really busy. I've kind of shut the website down for the time being. But it's ozarksweetwater.com. But you're not going to see anything there right now. It's on maintenance schedule until things get back to a little bit more normal. So, but
all right, no, I'll just put your Instagram page there on the show notes then.
Yep.
Yeah, and if people want to stock some MeatEater gear in their stores, they get a hold of you at 3 Creeks.
Yeah. Jeff at 3creeks.com, 3creeksgroup.com. So
sorry, what was that?
Just hit me up on Instagram on Ozark Sweetwater. So yeah, well,
all right.
If you're in Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, or Oklahoma, hit me up. We'll we'll get some stuff in your store.
Love to hear it. All right, gear review coming up next. Brandon, into the podcast, the beginning of a gear review. What are you reviewing for us today?
I am tipping the bottle to our buddy Joseph Hawkins. So at our last opening day, he showed up with a cooler full of the good old-fashioned glass bottle, made in Mexico, original Coca-Cola.
You got the Mexican Coca-Colas?
The cane sugar.
Yeah. I found them. I got my own supply. Lauren was telling me how cool she thought that was. So I was like, I want to be cool too. So I found some, and holler out to Joseph Hawkins and the good old-fashioned bottled up Coca-Colas from Mexico. They're worth it.
Oh, I mean,
Real sugar.
I believe it. Yeah, different recipe. Mine, Brandon, you've talked about this a lot on here before, but I'm going to give them another shout out because I just got it in the mail today and us flipping through it and how much I enjoy it. But the Missouri Conservationist, absolutely free through MDC. You just have to sign up. It shows up each month. Great articles. I mean, we're pretty blessed to have the department. I know we were questioning some of their stuff at the beginning today with some of the price hikes of the fees, but I mean, overall, an amazing organization. We support them. So should you. Sign up. Oh, Smokey the Bear. You should sign up and get the free magazine. It's super cool. The Missouri Conservationist.
We'll see you down the trail.
Thanks.